I told myself I was gonna make this a giveaway knife for the Gentleman Junkies on the Knife Junkie Patreon page, but this is pretty sweet. This is the new Kershaw Strata in the 5.4 inch bladed version. Yep, that's right, 5.4 inches on that blade, on that D2 flat ground clip point blade. A beautiful sort of Art Deco tip of the hat to the Spanish Navaja, the knife that the Spaniards used, giant folding knives that they used once they couldn't carry swords. They would take these giant knives and fold them up and put them in their cummerbunds, and alas, they had something to duel with. Those knives have come down through history as some of the most beautiful clip point folding blades, mostly clip point blades, and have worked their way into legend. And I was very excited to see Kershaw come out with this knife, because usually, you know, Cold Steel, they're the company that does the giant folders. They're the companies that do the 5.5 inch, 6 inch, 7.5 inch bladed folders, and pretty much everyone else shies away from that. Maybe because most people don't think they can carry them, or maybe because they're not completely legal everywhere. Not sure why. I don't know why you wouldn't, if you had the capability, if you had a manufacturer, why you wouldn't want to do something like this. So I'm really happy that Kershaw did. Like I mentioned before, I bought this thinking this was going to be a giveaway knife, but now that I have it in hand, I don't know how I'm going to give it away, because I'm weak like that. I might have to buy another one to give away. Kershaw Strata, D2 blade, flat ground, clip point. You've got this, I mentioned Art Deco, I don't know, it sort of has this reminds me of an old Miami Beach hotel, this little flourish here. You've got a very interestingly sculpted G10 show side with this copper inlay that covers up the pivot, and this odd untextured part right here. On the other side, you have a very light, thin frame lock, steel frame lock, again with the copper accent used there as a over travel stop. Boy, I have the camera where I usually have it for smaller knives, and I'm finding I have to hold this thing a little bit closer to the mat. It's very big. But I carried it today, and it is very easily carried. It's a svelte knife, you know, for as big as it is, it's quite thin. This is 0.48 inches thick, so I don't know, I usually think of 1/2 inch as the sort of minimum standard for most of the knives I carry for fatness or width. And this one is just big and thin. It's on bearings, and it flips, despite that last flub, it flips beautifully. And because of the size of that blade, it doesn't exactly rock it out, but it's on bearings, and it comes out without fail. I have found I've been trying to get it not to come out, and the only time it doesn't is when my finger slips off the nicely jimped flipper tab. Discreet and nicely jimped flipper tab. This knife is a long time coming, I think. I think Cold Steel deserves a challenger, or deserves a stablemate outside of the company to compete with, and to show us that it's not just Cold Steel that can do this. I have another large folding knife, but it's 4 7/8 inches. That's a Bastinelli, the big Dragotac, and it's still, you know, it's a bigger, heavier, wider affair all over, but it's not as long, and the only things I have that measure up to this are Cold Steel knives. Cool thing about this knife is that it has a little brother called the Strata also. I'm not sure if it's called this is the Strata XL. The other one is the Strata, and it comes in at 4.5 inches. The blade is 4.5 inches long, and so it's still, even the small version of this is bigger than your usual folder, which just tickles me. I love it. Very thin blade stock, very thin blade stock. Let's see if I can figure out what it is here by looking over here. Yeah, .125. You know me, I don't usually pay much attention to stats, but this one is, or specs, but this one is very thin. And it was shocking to me how I carried this all day in a regular pair of Levi's jeans, and it just melted into the pocket. I was barely aware that I was carrying this giant knife on me all day, and a lot of that has to do with the overall thinness. The scale and the lock side are thin, and they're set together closely because of this really thin blade stock. You've got a broadly shaped blade right here at the peak. It's like 1.25 inches, so that it has plenty of space to get very thin and slicey behind the edge. Got this wonderful point here. Probably the kind of point I would be likely to break, but I haven't yet, knock on wood. Here you've got really excellent jimping that gives you very good purchase. You have this weird sort of Star Wars-like maker's mark, which indicates that it's an in-house design at Kershaw. 2077 Kai D2, made in China. Really, really nice. Great pocket clip. Look at this pocket clip. Loops over, and it's very, it sits very deep in the pocket, and you look at it and it looks like a much smaller knife coming out of the pocket. This is interesting. I didn't notice it until right now looking through the viewfinder, but I like how the G10 scale has been extended to accommodate the loop over of the clip. So if you look at it like this, you'll see it's the same, even though this handle side is slightly shorter. Pretty cool, pretty cool. I think this is really well done, and I like it. It's a bold move. I have not liked the knives that I've seen from Kershaw this year, just in terms of design, looks. I have not held, carried, or used any of them before this came. So I can't judge them on how good they are, but I can judge how bad they look, and that's just my opinion. But this one, they have some extra flourishes, but they hit a real nice balance of, I don't know, it's nicely decorated, if you will, but not overly so. I feel like a lot of the knives this year have a lot of extra little, I don't know, doodads carved into them, and I don't know, the blades are a little, the way I see it is you should only have one, maybe two at most, odd things on a knife. After you go beyond that, it's just kind of freak show, and or like it's like a knife screaming out for attention. What about me? What about me? Look at all the milling on me. Look at all the weird things you can't figure out if they're going to be comfortable unless you hold me. That kind of thing, it's just kind of a turnoff. It's like over designed. But this one is just, I don't know. It seems to hit a really nice median. Here you have what look to be hexagonal standoffs in that same sort of coppery finish. I'm not sure what the material is. Kershaw, I could do without that on the clip, but I'm not that picky. One thing I really like is how the lock bar is done. It doesn't extend too far back. It extends that back presumably as far back as it needs to, but I like when the scoop out does not interfere with the clip, because when the clip is too close to that scooped out area, the folded over seam part of your pants pocket always kind of gets trapped in there. I have that problem with my Strider SMF. Yeah, first world problems, I know, but still, I like the way this is designed, the way there's a bit of a distance. I would like it even more if that scoop out portion that gives the bar its spring, I would like that even more if it were on the inside, but, again, just a matter of taste. What do you guys think of this knife? I really like it, and I might have to keep it just, for the collection quality of it. I have a lot of cold steel, large cold steels. Maybe I need this in there just to sort of, diversify a little bit. I like this horn, the horn aspect of the handle. Like a traditional Navaja, the handle curves so that it can accommodate such a large blade. And also it can accommodate the belly of the blade. And also it gives you a nice sort of pistol grip if you want to choke back, if you will, and swing back here. Gives you a a nice shape here, nice little pistol grip shape. It is a little bit thin, so I'm not so sure you'd want to do too much swinging and making impact on anything that's not soft, holding onto that, but nonetheless, I think it's really nicely designed, and I would love to check out the 4.5 inch version. All right, well, I love to do comparisons. I'm gonna show this with some other knives so you can get a size idea, and then also so you can get see what it looks like next to some cold steels. It's obvious competition. First, though, a wonderfully designed clip point blade. This is the Cold Steel Recon 1. This is the old one with the AUS 8A steel. I took the paint off, the spray paint they had on the blade to make it black, to reveal this beautiful tumbled finish underneath. Great knife. I've had this one for quite a while, about 10 years now. And this one has the Snaggletooth Tactical Cog ring on there. It's a pull ring. It's sort of like a rigid fob or a rigid lanyard. Also allows you to drop it in your pocket and just have this be the clip, so you don't have a big giant ring and the rest of the knife sticking out. It's a nice innovation that they're doing over there. So that's that. With that, now let me show you with the, this is one that doesn't get much airtime, but this is an old Voyager. Is this a Voyager? It's a Cold Steel clip point Voyager from back when they were doing this, you know, with the integrated handle, or integrated clip here, made out of the same grivery that the rest of the handle is. 5 inch blade. This was a great knife. Bought this in a store in New York City, if you can believe it, way back when. Roseland Martial Arts, it was called. It was a cool store. Let me show it with a, here it is, with a large Recon 1. This is a great one. Every time I show this and its Tanto brother, CTS XHP, people email me, hey, you want to sell it? You want to sell it? Because apparently right after I bought it, they stopped making it and they became really hard to find. Now, looking at them right now, it almost appears as if the Kershaw is bigger. Let me see. I'm gonna put it right up against that fat line. I'm gonna put this right up against the fat line. I'm looking pretty much straight down. Yeah, it looks like this is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.5 exactly. And this one is 5 1/4. Oh, what a slouch, this tiny little thing. I thought this was bigger. Of course, I'm kidding. Love that knife. This one, I still feel is a little bit more secure. It's a little fatter. Well, it's a bit fatter. And it's more heavily textured, wider. The choils are deeper. So maybe you carry this one to the wedding and you carry this one, you know, to the street fight. Let's see, let's put that there. That's, of course, a joke if you're new. Let's see. Here it is with a Voyager. I don't have the Voyager Tanto anymore, but I have a couple of the Vaquero. I just love the shape of this. I have a couple of versions of this. So you can see a little bit shorter by about 1/4 inch in blade length. But look at how much fatter this sucker is. Look at this. Here, I'll do it this way so I can put them right next to each other. A lot thicker is the Voyager, but also a lot more secure in the hand. You know, like I said, if you're gonna use this large knife to you know, you're out in the back doing chores in the yard, you could pull this out and do light chopping and you know, bush clearing or whatever you want to call it. With this thing, not so much. This is more, you know, like I said, you're in a fine suit and you know, someone slaps you across the face with their white glove and sullies your honor, and you have to recover your honor with a duel. Yes, this might be the thing to do, might be the thing to use. It's very, very thin and slicey and easy to carry, very light. This, I wouldn't say that about this, but this has strength that this one probably doesn't have, I'll say. A couple of more comparisons. Here it is with the only other no, it's not the only other Kershaw, but it's the only other large-ish Kershaw in my collection right now. This is the Lucha. What a great knife. I love this knife. For a non-bally song guy who always likes to have bally songs and likes to kind of play with them every once in a while, this is a great knife on bearings and very smooth. I'm not even going to attempt to do anything under the camera, but one thing I like about this is it has the traditional dimensions of a bally song, meaning a 4.5 inch, a larger blade, larger overall size. And so I thought this was pretty big, but then I got the Strata, and thing's a chunker. Not a chunker, it's long and lean and svelte. Well, we'll put it that way. All right, here it is with the obvious comparisons. The really Navaja inspired Espada. This is the Espada large full dress S35 VN. This is with the newly shaped blade. Newly meaning the original ones that came out had a longer clip and a shorter straight, and I love the way this one looks, though I have the other one in the G10 version, and I have here it is with the XXL Espada, 7.5 inch blade. This is the one with the G10 handles. For its giant size, this is a pretty svelte knife too, I gotta say. Look at that gap. I've never noticed that gap in the liner. I think I took this apart. Maybe I didn't put it back together correctly. Well, I'll have to look into that. But it dwarfs this quite large Strata. It's kind of cool to see. So that's it. Just wanted to show it. I've only had a chance to carry it once. But I just really wanted to show it off. It's such a beautiful piece and affordable. This is 75 bucks basically, whereas these others that I've shown you are more expensive. The Cold Steels, the Voyagers are north of 75, but not that far north. But if you want something big in terms of cutting edge and in terms of beautiful sort of Navaja inspired pocket knife, and you want to be able to actually carry it with you all the time, I would say this is the knife. And I talk about pants, I call them, well, I don't know what I call them, but knives that hold up my pants. Sometimes I stick a knife in my waistband. I like a thin knife in my waistband sometimes as a tertiary knife, and it's there just in case, but also frequently it's there to act as a wedge to make sure my pants don't fall down. I know that sounds weird, but my weight fluctuates enough that I like to do that sometimes, and this would be excellent for that, though maybe it goes down a little bit too far for that role, actually, with that deep carry pocket clip. But I've probably said too much. That's probably too much information about how I keep my pants up and my taste in knives. So I will leave you with this. I highly recommend this, and if it's just too big, I would imagine that the 4.5 inch one, which is also pretty big, it's going to look more like this size-wise, is going to be an excellent knife as well. Alrighty. Thanks for watching.